Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. It is Friday. Obviously, I am really taking advantage of that casual Friday idea. So you guys, you may remember the North Carolina mother, Leah McGee, whose son, Christian, he was a student athlete at Central Davidson High School. He was suspended back in April for asking his teacher if the term alien on a classroom assignment referred to a space alien or illegal alien. So he used the term illegal alien, which apparently is the deadly sin now. All right. So his teacher and his school administration labeled him a racist for asking this innocent question. They said it was the equivalent of saying the N-word, and then ultimately suspended him for multiple days from school with no chance of appeal. He was also prohibited from competing in a season-defining track meet. Oh, and by the way, after he was labeled a racist, his family, as you would assume in this woke world, got all sorts of death threats because, now Christians are racist. Well, last we spoke with Leah and her attorney from Liberty Justice Center. They had filed a lawsuit against the Davidson Board of Education for violating Christians' First and Fourth Amendment rights. But within this lawsuit and within this injunction comes certain evidence that is now surfacing. And recently, it's been revealed in this lawsuit concerning the Board of Education. There's been some new evidence that's come out. See, many years ago, which, by the way, Leah and her attorney are going to join me in a second. But many years ago, I steered clear of this the first time that I talked to Leah because I didn't think that it mattered. But apparently it does to the Davidson Board of Education. So years ago, Leah McGee had an addiction problem, and she had a criminal history. And since then, she has learned from it. She's recovered, and she dedicates her life as an advocate, helping others stay off of the wrong path. By the way, she was even appointed to a Brunswick County Addiction Commission by a Superior Court judge. So this is someone who is like letting, trying to teach from their own mistakes. But that didn't stop several of the Board of Education members from disseminating Leah's old mugshot and her record in an effort to disparage her and her son's name. So now we find out Board Chair Alan Beck is accused of texting false allegations to a state senator, saying that Christian had been thrown out of several schools and that Leah has a history of harassment. Another board member, Ashley Carroll, sent text messages to another community leader, making a false claim that Christian was kicked out of multiple schools for being a racist. So, we can just go through some of these. So this is, of course, the gray is this particular board member, but she's saying, we have the details now. He's a racist. You guys can see these text messages right here. There's one that says there's more beyond that. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Furthermore, there is not one kid in that class defending him, not one. She sends Leah's criminal record, the mother of said child who was kicked out of multiple schools for being a racist. Okay, then it's, again, we know the details now. He is a racist. The piece of paper doesn't indicate the entire situation. I asked you to trust me on this one, she says, because someone's pushing back and saying, hey, guys, this looks really bad for you. How dare you question me? I asked for you to trust me on this one. And then she says, the person who is talking to this Board of Education member, what about the Hispanic kid threatening to beat his ass? And this is, of course, what we know now. The Hispanic kid threatening that was all a joke anyway. This Board of Education member says, would you beat a kid's ass who was making anti-Semitism comments? It wasn't one statement. It went on and on. The kids are mad. He is a big problem. It's a 3-day suspension. It's not the end of the world. Well, I'd like to welcome Leah McGee back on the show along with her attorney, Dean McGee, educational freedom attorney with the Liberty Justice Center. And I want to ask you guys both. First of all, I got to apologize. Leah, you look so lovely in your dress. And Dean, you look so fancy. And I just took casual day way too far. So I apologize for that. But I want to ask you both some questions. Leah, I'm going to start with you. I know the answer to this. I'd like you to answer it because you're Christian's mom. Is it true that he was kicked out of multiple schools for this very same problem?
Sarah, Christian's never been kicked out of a school, never been kicked out of any school, let alone for racism. Christian has never, ever been kicked out of any school. Every principal Christian's ever had from pre-K up until now has agreed to write statements on his behalf and to speak to the Board of Education members. Each of those principals said that they have had no communication with the Board of Education members, so they don't even know how they came up with this. I mean, it's just lie after lie after lie with these people. He's never been kicked out. He's never had a label of racism placed on his life, which is why we are fighting as hard as we are. So I'm not sure why they would want to continue to hurt a child when they swore an oath to protect and defend the children of this county. So it's beyond me as to why this adult woman would continue to spread lies about a 16-year-old boy.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem very odd that you would be trying to go so far all in creating a scenario that does not exist, when you could have just said, you know what, the principal got it wrong in this one. The administrators got it wrong in this one. In fact, would you tell, I think I read that the principal is no longer employed with the school at this point.
That's what we've heard, and that's what the school posted. They posted a paper that said, had a portion of the minutes after the school board.
Uh-oh, we may have lost her. I'll go ahead. We'll restabilize that connection. And I want to go ahead and ask Dean, where are we at in the process of the lawsuit against the Davidson Board of Education?
So since we last spoke, we filed what's called a preliminary injunction motion. And that's an opportunity to get before the court and ask for the court to temporarily, while the case proceeds, clear Christian's record. And that would allow him to go to school, apply to colleges, and just kind of get back to normal in the interim, because litigation can take a long time, and Christian shouldn't have to wait, 1 or 2 years, however long this case is going to take, to get that off his record temporarily. So we filed the motion, and included in that motion was some of this evidence that you just discussed, which is really concerning behavior by the Board of Education.
Yeah. So I guess another question for you would be, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, in my average person mind, not being an attorney like you, I'm thinking, well, if she's spreading rumors that you maybe could prove she knows is not true, that Christian was, suspended from other schools for having a history of being a racist, and you guys know that's not true, is there any sort of defamation claim that you guys can add into this lawsuit, being that that's just a complete lie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable telling you that we are speaking with North Carolina counsel about pursuing state law defamation claims. Right. Our case, Christian is my client, and we filed a lawsuit in federal court to vindicate his constitutional rights as they relate to the suspension. But this other behavior is relevant, and yes, it's one thing to spread the mugshot, which is disgusting behavior and an attack, but they've taken it a step further, where they seem to have just invented allegations against Leah and Christian. So the short answer to your question is yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, because that's where it went horribly. I mean, to your point, it went even more horribly wrong to me, because I'm reading this and I'm thinking, okay, all right, you're trying to assault her character for what? This has nothing to do with any of the, allegations put forth. But then you add on top of it just a complete lie about a 16-year-old boy. And now if I'm the mom, I'm out for blood. Not literally. I just want to make sure to say that because you're an attorney, right? Not literally, but I'm just saying, my mama bear claws are coming out. And I'm like, how dare you just lie about my son to a community member who I assume, I don't know who this community member is, but I assume this is someone who has some pull within, the city, or at least the school system.
So we know that the state senator was contacted with these misrepresentations. We know that, yes, this is a local, community leader who was contacted. Another person who used to work for the court system was contacted with messages, and those messages, when this board member shared the mugshot, she said to this former law enforcement officer, "But didn't you work hard to get drug dealers off the street?" In other words, saying that Christian and his mother deserve no say, no representation, no defense from anyone in the community because of this drug arrest over a decade ago.
Anyone who feels that way has no place working with kids, around children, making decisions for children or schools or anything like that, in my opinion. So I want to play, I'm not sure if we're going to get Leah back on or not, but I do want to play part of your evidence, which is the recorded conversation that Christian's parents, was it just Leah or was it Leah and her husband?
Leah and her husband, but Leah took the lead in the conversation.
Okay, so it's both of them talking to the assistant principal. This is the
assistant principal who was sort of the motivating force in the suspension.
Right. Okay, so here is some of that conversation. Watch.
He swears to me he wasn't trying to be intentionally rude by asking that. So I talked to him about asking that question by saying illegal alien versus, are those people that need a green card? Like, there's respectful ways of asking that question, and there are very disrespectful ways of asking that question. And I agree, the 3 days out of school is harsh, but it's a line we drew in August. And even though it hurt to give him that, because I didn't want to go there with shit, but we decided that in August, and if I don't give him that, then I'm being unfair to the 15 other kids that have served that up until now for saying the N-word or anything else under the sun that's racially charged that creates a disruption in the classroom. Because he said, well, he laughed, he thought it was funny, or at least he laughed about it and said, oh, it's no big deal. And in the hallway, when I was talking to both boys and Miss Hill, said, those are just words, it's not a big deal.
Right.
And I said, no, sir, those words do make a big deal out of this, the way they were said and their meaning. I've taught gifted, really smart kids. You can have a ball with those kids as long as you keep them on the narrow, straight and narrow. And I think Miss Hill has struggled a little bit with that, being so young and being a female. She needs to work on really making her boundaries strong and straight, and that's something we're going to continue to work with her on. She lets it get a little bit too loosey-goosey sometimes, and the kids will take advantage of that.
So explain this context to me, Dean. When he mentions, well, we made this, since August, we've had these other kids who have had to have the same consequence. And then he mentions using the N-word, and he says, so we have to do this to Christian as well. Can you fill in the gaps there?
So I can't actually completely fill in the gaps there. It's sort of inexplicable to me. I mean, what he seems to be saying is, well, other students at our school have said genuinely racist things,
right?
And therefore we need to punish Christian equally. It'd be unfair to those students if we don't punish Christian equally, even though what he said is racially neutral and not racist. He used the term racially insensitive, but again, it's just not a racial term on its face. And nothing in the suspension. I mean, they had an opportunity in the suspension documents to write a detailed description. That's what they were supposed to write. There's nothing in there to indicate that this was racial other than this administrator's opinion that it was. And you heard in that tape, it was an opinion that apparently wasn't really shared by, for example, the other kid in the class or even the teacher, right, who both said, as my interpretation of that tape is they're both saying it's not a big deal. It's the administrator trying to correct them and tell them it's a big deal.
Yeah. So tell everyone what they can do. Where can they go to? Can they help? Can they donate? How can we help you?
So we represent all our clients pro bono for free. We don't take any money. It's ljc.org, Liberty Justice Center. That's where you can find us. You can find us on social media, on X at LJ Center. So if you could follow our work and if people are able to make donations, we really appreciate it because that's how we're able to represent clients like Leah.
Great. I appreciate you, Dean. And I think, Leah, we got you back just at the tail end of it. But don't worry, Dean did a great job in your place. I just finished with Dean. We were talking about where people can go to learn more about the Liberty Justice Center because, of course, they are representing you guys pro bono. If you could tell the viewers just one last word about what it is, why are you doing this, and what do you ultimately want for your son out of this?
Well, we're fighting it because it's just wrong on every level. Alien's not a race; it can't be racist. We're also, fighting against the lies that are being spread about our child, as any mother, I think, would. And we're standing up against the smear campaign. It was tacky. It was tasteless. It really reflects the character of those that are on the board. They attempted to assault my character and failed miserably, but their malicious character was in turn highlighted. So we're hoping that the public can see that. What we want more than anything is for an apology, a very public apology, and not just, I'm sorry your feelings got hurt, or in the South, a bless your heart. No, I want you to say what you're sorry for, that you lied about my son being kicked out of schools. I want you to say in detail what you're apologizing for. I also want the 3 days that he missed out of school credited back to him, and the racism label removed and the suspension reversed. Sarah, I don't think that's a big request.
Not.
So the fact that they are unwilling to do so shows the prideful nature of the board that we're up against. It's a simple fix, but for some reason they're unwilling to do so.
Well, it is a simple fix, but in the event that they continue fighting that, there is another simple fix at the ballot box that I hope will be utilized a lot. So, Leah, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I am in your corner. I just, as a mom, I can't imagine what this must feel like. And you just keep us posted on what we can do to help.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
Thank you.
Oh, my gosh. These freaking public school administrations and teachers, just like, we've got to burn the entire system down. And honestly, I was going to say start over, but I don't even really want to start over when it comes to public schools. All right, we've got to take a break. We'll be back with a panel. First, we want to thank our sponsor this segment, Flying Ace Spirits. So Flying Ace Spirits, this is very, very simple, okay? They make amazing whiskey, which you can purchase for consumption if you are 21 and older, I would just like to say, but they've also aligned with Folds of Honor to help them provide life-changing scholarships to the spouses and children of America's fallen or disabled in combat. So what they are doing is they are helping sponsor 4 different scholarships that are awarded quarterly this year for all of these families. This is a very, very worthy cause, and you get to buy whiskey. All right, so here are your options. You can donate today, or you can go to flyingacespirits.com. You can scan the QR code on the screen, by the way, if you're watching this, and you can purchase a bottle of Flying Ace, or 2 or 3. I say the more the merrier. And you will also be donating to Folds of Honor when you make that purchase. You can use the promo code unfiltered, get free shipping on every order. You guys know I love my whiskey. This is a great one. Try it out at flyingacespirits.com, promo code unfiltered. Welcome to the program, our BlazeTV contributors, both Jaco Booyens, of course, founder of Jaco Booyens Ministries, and John Doyle, host of Heck Off Commie. I am glad you guys are here. John, how are you celebrating Donald Trump's birthday today?
There's a lot that we are doing for President Trump. I would not want to betray the sanctity of the day by discussing it on air. I mean, I know people give good time and good money to the program, but I don't think it's appropriate to ask.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry for that. That was very offensive of
Accept
me.
your
I'm sorry.
apology. Yeah.
So with all
It's
of
the
this,
same John.
I know
It doesn't change.
I know.
You gotta love him. Though.
I know.
I'm celebrating him later by voting for the guy.
Yeah, in November. That's a little bit of a delayed present.
It's okay. I gave him a present. We gave him a present yesterday, and a message and things. That's good. But a real support would be show up in November.
I would say so. Well, we were hoping that the Supreme Court would give him a birthday present today in the form of handing down the decision on presidential immunity and making sure that it was the right decision. But we did not get that today. What we instead got today, one of the Supreme Court decisions that was handed down this morning, was the case of Garland versus Cargill, in which the justices ruled 6-3 that the federal ban on bump stocks is unlawful. So the court ruled that the ATF exceeded its statutory authority by issuing a rule that classifies a bump stock as a machine gun under the applied section. That section defines machine gun as Any weapon which shoots is designed to shoot or can be readily restored to shoot automatically more than one shot without manual reloading by a single function of the trigger. And so they said, if a semi-automatic rifle equipped with a bump stock, it's not a machine gun. It's not a machine gun, and it does not fire more than one shot by a single function of the trigger. And even if it could, it would not do so automatically. You cannot make that connection as a machine gun. Therefore, you cannot ban the bump stocks. That is not lawful. So it was not the presidential immunity case, but I would say it is a good opinion that was handed down, decision that was handed down. And I will say this was one thing that I thought that Donald Trump did get wrong during his presidency.
Because
Sorry,
you didn't
John.
trust the plan, and
What was the plan?
and now you see this was always the plan. Is he was going.
That's some 4D chess right there.
How are you on this one day celebrating Donald Trump? No, I have been celebrating this guy for the last decade. Okay, the party never ends. When he told me that one day I was maybe going to have to stand by him after he gunned someone down on Fifth Avenue, at first, I'll admit, I was hesitant, but I made that pledge that day. I said, yes, sir, Mr. President,
ridiculous.
I'll take it from here. So that's the ceiling. And ever since, affairs, Ukraine, that's never hit the ceiling of gunning somebody down on Fifth Avenue. And so I maintain support. Other members of the panel, well, maybe they've been a little wishy. But I'm glad to see everyone's back on the Trump train. I'm just glad to see.
Wait, what? You just totally twisted that around.
I remember everyone was really excited about this Ron DeSantis character a while ago. I've been here for a while on the program, but I'm glad that
I'm concerned
that the plan has come to fruition.
I'm concerned about your memory.
I am.
It is quite selective, Mr. Doyle.
The plan has come to fruition. Bump stocks made great again. Everyone can relax. Everything's fine. Patriots are in control.
Come on.
Listen, I'll say this.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, you got a little bit of salt, pinch of salt. But I'll say this. If you ask him on a serious note, he would say that's a great victory. Yeah, on his birthday. It is a victory on his birthday because it's right. It should never even have been a conversation. By their own definition, single pull of the trigger, single action of the trigger. It's been a joke, but we know that they know how to push conservatives' buttons. You go after the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And you work towards chipping away at it over time to erode what the Founding Fathers constituted for us to be able to defend ourselves against the cabal.
Tyrannical government?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, that's what bothers me about this. The left tries very hard to shape this entire conversation into, come on, what do you need? Joe Biden, what was it, earlier this week or last week? She's like, well, you need 200 shells for hunting?
It's always hunting.
Right. Is for hunting?
It's always hunting.
So you're a terrible shot. It's like, that's not what this is. I'm not even going to have that conversation. I'm not even going to engage in that argument because that's not what this was designed for. So it's just so manipulative to try to twist it into, what, you need that many for hunting? How many deer are you going to shoot? Come on.
Yeah, it's unfair because he's like giving you the opportunity to give the right answer, but then he would send like the DOJ to come arrest you for giving like the actual answer. Right. So he's like waving in your face. He's like, do it, I dare you. And then he's going to just send SWAT teams to your house.
Yeah. So I want to read really quickly the dissenting opinion. This was written by Sonia Sotomayor. Here's a quote from that. Today, the court puts bump stocks back in civilian hands. To do so, it casts aside Congress's definition of machine gun and seizes upon one that is inconsistent with the ordinary meaning of the statutory text and unsupported by context or purpose. When I see a bird that walks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, I call that bird a duck. Well, here's the first problem, is that you have a lot of these people who are creating laws, creating policies, creating definitions who don't actually understand how weapons work. Yeah. That would be the first problem. You've got Sonia Sotomayor. You've got all of these, left-wing legislators who want to talk about, even when we have the conversation about semi-automatic guns, and they want to act like those are the machine guns. And it becomes very clear very quickly that these people have no idea about guns, and yet they are very quick to try to limit your ability to use them. Seems like a bad policy.
Look, we'll say this. Criminals get guns. So many weapons flow across the border. With 430-odd million legally owned weapons in this country, if the legal gun owner was this Dr. Evil, you would have known it. Mm-hmm. When we outnumber possibly the federal government with legal firearms, if we were these bad citizens, you would know it, right?
I would say you would have known it on January 6th because everyone would have shown up
exactly
with weapons for
you would have known it.
Insurrection.
You would have known it when they've come after our children. You would have known it when they cut body parts off of children. No, we don't just automatically run to shoot people. It is, in fact, the direction we're heading in, though, that the Founding Fathers was talking about is you guys are abandoning your citizens. Border is wide open. Supporting the Ukrainians and Zelenskyy. We're getting to a point here where we may have to defend ourselves just a little bit, not just on Fifth Avenue.
Wow. Bold words by Jaco Booyens, John.
Could be, yeah. And, it is, too, a staple of American culture, and it always has been. We were on the frontier. You need weapons to defend yourself, not only from tyrants, but from animals, from savages, from other people who may want to infringe upon your rights. And so ignoring, the practical and the God-given component, there is something, too, culturally. Before the program, we were talking about muscle cars. I believe that the reason they want to take that away is simply because if they take away everything cool, then it's what is even the point of trying to defend the country? Who cares, So it's just, yeah.
You're not a fan of the electric muscle car.
No, come on. With John and I was talking about it. When you have to pipe in artificial sound so that your EV doesn't kill somebody when they cross the road because they can't hear it from coming.
Hear it.
That's not what it's about. Don't tell me it's a 1.9 second, car. I told John, when you fire that thing up, when it idles, it has to sound angry.
Yeah.
That is a point, but Half Full would say, imagine one of those road blockades of leftists. And then you get a cyber truck.
They won't hear you coming.
Hear it. Yeah.
I'm so glad the glass is half full for you, John. It swung from half empty to half full.
I'm gonna leave that right there where it stays. I want to remind you guys before we go to break. So you can go to shopblazemedia.com and you can get a whole slew of merch. I would suggest that you start with my shirts at my shop. Right here, you can see you can go to saramerch.com as well to go straight to there. And it's a little caricature of Donald Trump that says, "I'm voting for the convicted felon." So you can get that in any shirt type you want right there and get you a coffee mug while you're at it. So go to saramerch.com. John, you need one of those.
You're absolutely right.
I'm voting for the convicted felon. I actually just interrupted him from texting.
I don't know. That's not true. I was sorry for wishing a happy birthday text to President Trump.
So you can go to, John, write this down, saramerch.com, okay? I'm not buying you one. You go buy it yourself.
I should just get one. I don't understand what this is.
Trying to get this girl is this still a contest?
It is now. Yeah, it's a contest. Yes. It's a contest every time I do something.
She's got to beat Glenn. She's got to beat everybody. John, do your part.
John, do your part.
Do your part.
Let's go. Listen. I'm nice enough that I'm going to give you a code, okay? It's Sarah10, and you can save 10%.
If you
don't use an H though.
Can the audience get the code too?
Yes, it's Sarah10. Anyone can use it. Okay, you can all save 10% over at saramerch.com. There's plenty more to be had, and we'll be right back. So at the G7 summit, you guys are going to be so excited to hear this. Joe Biden was speaking with, Zelenskyy and all of these other world leaders, and he was bashing Republicans for holding up Ukraine funding in order to, help our border. Why would they do such a thing? Why would they want to help our border before they help Ukraine with their border? And then he promises Zelenskyy that there is a lot more money coming for him. Watch.
By the way, the idea that we had to wait till we passed the legislation overall, being held up by a small majority of our Republican colleagues, was just terrible. And there's a lot more money coming beyond what's already come in the other tranches that are available now that we've passed the legislation. So they'll have what they need and get it there as quickly as we possibly can.
So who's he speaking on behalf of? Certainly not us, not the taxpayer.
Oh, he thinks so. He thinks so.
He must not truly believe that the taxpayer approves of the squandering of our great-grandchildren's futures at this point, right?
You could probably go further, but yes. Yes, you could probably go further. That's a start.
That's the guy, when they say, take us to your leader, that's the guy we submit. This is our leader.
Right. I mean, look, I, in a lot of ways, am happy that he is repeating these talking points in June. I hope he continues it in July and August and September and October, straight on into November. But it is scary, being that I don't feel like I don't have 100% confidence that the election will be secure. I'm not telling you not to go vote. Please, for the love of God, go vote. But if he ends up in charge of things, or whoever's pulling his strings ends up in charge of things for another 4 years, I genuinely don't think there's any coming back from just the massive amount of money that he is sending everywhere other than America, and all of the other issues that we have here in this country because of the Biden regime.
I think you're right. I think that Pat Buchanan wrote about this like 25 years ago, something he called the electoral winter, which is a scenario that could exist where Republicans can no longer win an election at the federal level simply because the demographics of the country have changed so much. Now, I don't know why this is. We could theorize, but for some reason, Republicans have won the majority of the white vote in every election since 1968. The last Democrat to win the majority of whites was Lyndon Johnson in 1964. And even in the last like 3 elections, being 22, 20, 18, even 16, Republican, I think 88 to 85%, somewhere around there, of all votes cast for Republicans came from white people. And any outreach attempt that we've made to other groups has only, I think, become successful during the Trump era. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to make up that ground, especially because every year we are losing 2.5 million baby boomers because they're starting to die off. God bless them. Unfortunately, those are by majority white voters, loyal GOP voters, loyal donors. Are we in a position to be able to make up for those lost INRA? I don't know. So I think that, yeah, you're right, that if in 2024 we don't take power, imagine a scenario where they amnesty, the 10, 12 million people who come here.
That's
they
the
will.
design. And that's by design,
Yes,
John.
that's part of the play.
That's why this border is open, is because they are seeing a loss on their grip on the black community. There's a shift there. And even the Hispanic community for the most part. And now it's like, look, just bring in more people.
Yeah.
And just put them on the government teat. And you know how they're going to vote because they're on the dole. It's what happened in Great Britain. Put them on the dole. When they crossed 50% of the British population that went on government support, I just met with the House of Lords. They go, we'll never go back. They'll never return that back into the lack of the government control in people's daily lives for supporting their livelihood. Yeah. And they are seeing the gripping loosen on the black community, and it's like proactively with the international powers saying, open the border.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even, I know that they call this a theory, the Great Replacement theory at this point. It's just not a theory anymore. It's just literally happening before our very eyes. Right. And I mean, we're talking about changing that at a federal level, but they're already changing it in certain places. They've changed it in San Francisco. They've changed it. They tried to change it in New York. Luckily, a judge didn't allow them to do so, and it was overturned. They changed it in D.C. They are starting the change of it in Dallas, where they are trying to allow illegals to take certain positions within the local government. Yeah. So they're already trying it.
Sarah, it's actually, I almost don't want to say this because, criminals listen, but it's actually not that difficult. All you need to do, which they are doing, Newsom is doing that, you issue a driver's license. Yes. The driver's license gets a bank account. The driver's license unlocks a social security number. And you vote. Yeah. This is not even changing federal law necessarily. Yes, they're going after putting them in positions of power and trying to legalize them to vote. But there are other mechanisms because we really trust New York, New Jersey at a local level when someone shows up with a social security card and a driver's license to go proof and verify whether that was obtained legally within the immigration system and did you cross the border legally? No. Yeah. They're voting.
Yeah, well, and in some systems, which I'm just going to go ahead and do this right now, Stephen. In some systems, you don't actually even have to show your ID when you show up to register. You can register on the same day that you go to vote, and you don't even have to show proof that you are who you say you are. This is really happening. We did a documentary on this. It is available now on BlazeTV. It's the newest Blaze Originals series, Voter Fraud Exposed: How Elections Can Be Stolen. So I'm telling you, John, you're from Michigan.
Yes.
There's a lot of dirty crap going on in Michigan as far as the elections go. And this is a critical swing state for Donald Trump to win. And if you think that it stops at Michigan, you're crazy. But we are exposing so much of this. So make sure that you go watch it. You can do it by going to blazeoriginals.com/Sarah. You can get $30 off of your subscription by using the code voter fraud. But while we're on this topic, I want to make it clear, like, we're lucky if they make them show photo ID at this point. And now places like Michigan have the constitutional right to vote by mail, which France banned in 1975 because of voter fraud.
By mail, okay? So here comes South Africa. You were supposed to be there this week. You'll go soon. You will. Look at that little country's trend of losing a nation, losing a flag, losing a national anthem, voting system, and then they go to ballots. Mail-in ballots. You know what just happened last month, South Africa's presidential election? What they found out? The pens at the voter poll was disappearing ink.
No.
100%. Go check it out. Look, check it out. You mark your mark, and 3.5 hours later, it disappears, and they remark it. Fact.
Shut up.
So then, halfway through the voting day, the word spread to the country, take your own pen.
Wow.
Take your own blue pen. Don't use their pens. This is where it will go. No, just mail it in because it's COVID happy. Let's go. Let's mail it in. They will go.
Crazy.
Evil has no end, man.
Right.
So yeah, disappearing ink. I mean, that's rich. It's quite imaginative, but fact.
That's incredible.
Check it out.
That's incredible. So yeah, make sure that you check that the voter fraud documentary out as well. I learned a lot. And by the way, one of those things that I learned was the downtown Detroit area is actually beautiful.
Yes, it is, as a matter of fact.
I had no idea. It gets a bad rap, and now you don't want to leave downtown.
John's friends live down there. They're amazing.
It's beautiful. The restaurants were wonderful.
Yes.
I was amazed.
Even
I texted
just
you.
since I left 3 years ago, and I go back, it's like incredible because it's actually like things are happening.
Yeah, it's
and
vibrant.
I know kids who I went to high school with, who I graduated with 6 years ago, and if you had told me then, oh, they're going to live down there, I would have been like, yeah, right. But they are, and they're living down there, working down there. Of course, it's gentrification or whatever, but it's a nice thing. They got a nice thing going.
Back, baby.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yes.
It was great restaurants, lots of fun people, clean. Highly suggest visiting downtown Detroit if you get the chance. So before we have to go to break, I want to play this other clip here. During the G7 press conference, Joe Biden is very upset with this reporter because this reporter did not stick to the script. He's not sticking to the pre-scripted questions and answers. He went off script, and Joe Biden doesn't like that. Watch.
About what more, if anything, the U.S. can do to drive towards a peace agreement. Thank you.
I wish you guys would play by the rules a little bit. I'm here to talk about a critical situation in Ukraine. You ask me another subject. I'll be happy to answer it in detail later.
Oh, I'm sorry. Since when is a press conference for a president? Since when do we require the pre-scripted questions and answers, and reporters are not allowed to deviate from that? I seem to recall not so long ago when it was a free-for-all in trying to, do a gotcha every single time you got the president's ear. And now all of a sudden, Joe Biden so arrogantly proclaims you're not allowed to deviate from the scripted questions. By the way, that was a question about Israel.
It's about Israel, of course. And that man will not stand with Israel. And this country is not standing with Israel. But what an embarrassment, though, John. Again, that's our leader. What an embarrassment. He's such an ill representation of our nation, of our country, the leading nation in the world, and you stand and you're going to rebuke a guy. Answer the question. It's because he can't answer the question, not because they scripted him not to, because there's no support.
Yeah.
He wants to support little belly dancer to his right. Zelenskyy. Yeah, check it out. The fake
or don't, actor. Or just take our word for it. You don't want to watch it.
I'm trying to think of the last president we had who could speak about issues in a way that demonstrates comprehension. It was probably, as much as I love Trump, it was probably George Bush Sr.
I was going to say, I know you're not about to say George W.
I don't like as a president, but in terms of just an intelligent political actor, it was probably him. And then before that, I think Nixon was very intelligent. But nowadays, what is this? This guy, and for what it's worth, Joe Biden 30 years ago could do that. But now he is, of course, mentally declining, so he can no longer do that. And so when all's said and done, I really hope that we get at least one honest memoir are from that administration, written anonymously. I want to know.
You must believe that's coming at some point.
It has to.
Because, I mean, even in this industry, any industry, when someone gets up there to give a presentation or something, they do a bad job, there's like, what was that all about? But it's the president. So you have to imagine like there's going to be some book that comes out.
Yeah, especially based on the rumors that I've heard from people who know Secret Service members who are like, it's bad, and they're shooting him up with all sorts of concoctions. So one day, hopefully, we will get the truth there. All right, we've got to take a break. We'll be back with more. So I just recently found out about some legislation. I want to get your thoughts on it, gentlemen. But I think personally, you should have it on your radar. It's called the Credit Card Competition Act. And it is a bill that I'm going to, full disclosure, okay, it's authored by Dick Durbin, which when you read that, you're like, oh, nope, not for it. But some of the co-sponsors, J.D. Vance, Josh Hawley, and that made me kind of want to know more because you're thinking, why are Vance and Hawley signing on to something with Dick Durbin? So here's the thing. Chinese payment networks like China's UnionPay have actually begun infiltrating into the country. 80%, I read, of merchants in this country accept that. All right. This is a company that is controlled by the CCP, the Chinese government. It's also a member of the two groups responsible for setting security rules for the U.S. credit card system. That's a problem. Those groups are run by Visa and MasterCard, and there is no law that prevents any company that issues credit cards from working with China UnionPay. So this particular act, the CCCA, would prohibit UnionPay or any other foreign network that poses a threat, including a network from Russia, from being enabled on United States cards, which means banks would not have to expose or would not be able to expose Americans' financial data to foreign governments by routing United States credit card transactions over foreign networks. This is a big deal, and we don't talk about China's infiltration into this country enough. We're already seeing it with TikTok, and we're seeing how they are poisoning our children's minds with TikTok. They don't have that kind of TikTok over there in China. They have it here in America for a reason. We're seeing them buying up our land. As Jaco just said, we are seeing them infiltrate our whole country, and nobody seems to care about this. Personally, I think this is a big deal. If it is to you, I'd suggest that you call your senator because this has been stalled for like a very long time. This particular act. They can't get it voted on. I don't know why, other than are all of the rest of them connected to China as well?
Yeah, you have to ask yourself who's defending it and why do we need it? We don't need it. We don't need China involved in our.
Why would they be helping set our security rules for our system?
Same reason why they get the contracts to have their drones fly our power grid system and monitor our power grid system.
Same reason that North Korea is on like the human rights,
I mean, we can't control our own power grid. We don't have our own payment processing. We've got Silicon Valley. I mean, come on, man. We're one of the technologically most advanced countries in the world. We can do this. We don't need them. It's because they're in cahoots with them. Mm-hmm. Because it is a consortium of taking this nation apart. Yeah. Is what it is about, in infiltrating everything. So yes, we should absolutely stand against it, but they've got their fingers into so many different things. Who was it recently that showed President Trump of all the land masses that China has bought? Somebody was, I got to dig it up. It wasn't, I think it was Tucker, somebody. And Trump's response was, wait a second. And it's throughout the country. It's not just farmland. It's strategic land masses around military bases like Laughlin Air Force Base, 140,000 acres, sold to them by a Bush land commissioner, right?
Yeah.
Just saying, not necessarily even a Democrat. Sometimes the Republicans playing with these guys.
We can't even get Texas to ban it. Correct. We can't even get Texas to say we will not allow China or Russia or any of these other entities to buy up our land. We can't even get Texas to do that. It's almost, again, it's just, why, explain to me the innocent explanation for all of our lawmakers just being so lackadaisical about China.
I don't know if there is one. There might be one that's more charitable. I mean, these people, like, you have to, we all know these types of people. I'm almost offended when I hear about the like Epstein blackmail stuff because it almost implies that these people have a spine and they had to be compromised by damning footage. Most of the people who work in politics representing American people are like theater kids. These are people who are never talented at anything. And so their job, the value that they provide to the system, is simply being a placeholder to be, strung on somebody else's puppet strings. And they are perfectly happy to do that because they get, black car service, 4-star hotels. They get to go around and rub shoulders with people who are important or whatever. And so in exchange for that, they're very willing to allow for the empire to be looted by any interest other than the American people, whether it be the Chinese, the Russians, Israelis, Somalians. I mean, have you seen the new Minnesota state flag, for example? It's just excellent. Everybody has their interests.
That's Ilhan Omar and her clause in that city, in Minneapolis, and it's diabolical.
Yeah. I mean, which ironically, if we were a democracy, the issues which we talk about so often would be working in our favor. Like Americans have been polling very negatively about immigration, the border for decades, but that has never been resolved. Things like this will never be resolved, probably. Yeah. And so when it comes to like the sort of wedge issues of the day, we can have some back and forth. But in terms of things that Americans can actually unify, this is bad, please stop it, for some reason, in our democracy, that can never actually be actualized.
It's not a coincidence that they are poisoning our young people's minds with TikTok at the same time that they are infiltrating their own financial systems inside our country, at the same time that they are bringing in record numbers of Chinese nationals through the southern border. That's not a walk. They're flying somewhere so that they can walk across the southern border. And if they were good people, if they were here for benign reasons, they could just fly directly here. So there's a reason that they're coming in through the southern border, subverting, of course, all of our, security processes. And I'm just saying, it's not a coincidence at this point that all of this is happening at the same time. So pay attention, call your senator and demand that they stop, just allowing China to just infiltrate our entire system. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, Donald Trump was on with Logan Paul. I guess he's got a new podcast coming out. Here's a clip from that.
You guys.
Oh, no way. We got gifts.
Oh, no. They sell for a lot of money, this thing.
Oh, no way. Thank you, President.
You got they split it up. Here's
amazing.
This is
is this your mugshot?
He's giving him his shirt, his mugshot on it, those of you who are listening on audio.
No way.
Should we put them on now? Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
And it sells. Well, Elvis had one. Frank Sinatra had one.
This shirt?
But we've eclipsed them. A long time ago, we've eclipsed them.
Aw, happy birthday, Donald Trump.
How that tide has turned. It's not too long ago that the Paul brothers were not too favorable. But you meet the man one time and it can change an opinion. And now both Paul brothers are supporting the president. Jake made a post, and he didn't mention Donald Trump, but he said, "Look, it is time for the young people." You saw it.
I didn't.
He said we need good representation, someone that will fight for us. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Not Joe Biden.
Right. I can't imagine he was talking about Joe Biden.
All will submit in time, because normal people love the guy. I mean, it's only when your exposure to him has been curated by The View and MSNBC normal people get along very well with him because he's a great guy, great American patriot. Happy birthday, President Trump.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I wore my my retro MAGA shirt in honor.
I like that retro shirt.
Donald Trump's. I do too.
I like the checker flag, it's good.
Thank you. I just got it, had to wear it. Happy birthday, Donald Trump. We'll see you Monday.